Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Littlewargame video. Today we have the pleasure of watching myself in the top left, up against Visixfan in the bottom right, in the blue. As we look at our opening build orders here, I'm going for a Castle First expand, whereas Visix is going for Ye Old Raiders. Something really interesting to point out is the way that Visixfan is playing doesn't actually work, because I don't think you can blink down this wall. So it was a cute little play that he tried to go for there, but unfortunately didn't work because the Raider can't jump down. It's too far. I think it's too far hex-wise. So as we look at our opening build orders, nothing too exciting is going to be happening. I block off with workers. Unfortunately, one gets through, but because he's hurt, I can just pull a couple workers and eventually hunt him down. Visixfan is going to go for a very fast... Ooh, this is a bit of a mistake on Visixfan's part, but not too big of a deal. He's going for a very fast third base, and I'm also going to be opening up with that. Because I killed a Raider, I feel like I have a decent amount of freedom, and I'm going to have double workshop so I can really spam out the cannons. And this game is just going to be very quiet in the first opening minutes. I'm going to speed up this replay because we're just having really standard macro. If we look at the units tab, we can see that both players are on equal worker counts. We're both doing very, very similar macro builds, and so we're both at very equal economies. You notice me kill this house because I want easy access up to my main base. I sort of messed up my wall a little bit. This needs to be farther forward so units can walk back there. But just in general, it's kind of fine to kill that house. It's 100 gold, and I'd rather have the ease of access. So if my opponent starts dropping, I can gain access to that position. So I'm just playing a kind of defensive mech. Mostly I'm spamming out lots of cannons. I'm building lots of towers in my third base. Once you have towers, wall, and a couple catapults behind this wall, this base is very secure and is pretty healthy until later in the game. And I have enough cannons to kind of push back this initial pressure on my my base here. Visixfan is kind of banking a really ton of gold here, so bit of some macro error coming out from our Rax opponent here, because we're actually getting a fourth base before the Rax player, which is really healthy if you are the mech player in this sort of situation. We can see that already Visixfan is up to +2 on his units, and I'm at 0-0 with looks like our first upgrade not quite started. That'll be starting very soon once we can get the forwarding, and we're also throwing out an extra forward, so those will be coming up pretty soon. Fourth base for Visixfan. And just pretty standard macro. Both of us are at about 40 workers. Notice I have my units kind of in a central location. That way I can move to the right or left and defend in any way. We do see some invisible Raiders popping out here. Notice he's targeting down the catapults. Raiders do a ton of damage with catapults, and it's really efficient to try to get rid of these mech units. Obviously, they do a ton of damage. You can see him just putting tons of damage on this catapult. 2 workers are just enough to... 3 workers are just enough to repair, but the 4th one gets it. And I'm just basically taking hits now on my cannons. There's really not a lot I can do. I need to retreat to my tower. I finally get some detection on this tower, but it doesn't really matter as much because now the units are coming in full force, and it's going to be pretty tough for me to defend here because I don't have that many cannons. I've only got about 7 cannons here, and he does have priests and archers pushing in pretty hardcore. I do have 2 towers, but unfortunately, because he killed so many catapults, I really needed those catapults to defend. So now Visixfan is just putting a ton of pressure on this 4th base. And we're basically going to have to lose the 4th base. There's not a lot of saving it. So this is already pretty poor defense. Really, these towers should have been probably detectors early in the game. But this is a really clean and strong timing that Visixfan has hit with. And now he's going to just target down these towers. He's going to lose a couple units to the towers, but in general, he's going to get these down pretty quickly, and now it's going to be very tough to deal with the stream of Rax units. Now he can just stream in units, and he has just almost double supply right now, so it's going to be really tough for me to defend at this moment. Fortunately for us, we do have some upgrades coming in. But yeah, it's not going to be quite enough. Looks like these Rax units are just going to completely overwhelm our position here. This is a really good teaching moment. Like, when you're playing mech, you gotta try to not let this happen, so you have to really be much more solid on your defense. I think I made some macro errors because I don't have enough workshops, and my production didn't quite match it, what it needed to be. As you can see, I'm floating a decent amount of gold here, and that's just kind of mistakes you can't allow to happen in a game like this. With you already have pretty small margins for error as mech, so you really need to try to not make those mistakes. We are getting our upgrades going though. We have +2 already, facing up against +3 only from Visix. So Visix is unfortunately cutting his upgrades a little bit when he shouldn't be, because he has plenty of money. Looks like he's spending most of his APM controlling his army here. So he's going to lose. He's going to be a little bit farther behind than he had to be on this upgrade war. So it looks like we're going to slowly, mech is going to slowly push the Rax back here and start to resecure a fourth base. The Rax forces are kind of taking a lot of damage, and because they aren't that far ahead in upgrades, we're allowed to really take these fights pretty cleanly. Notice I put some cattle traps down here. This kind of delays any pushing through the middle. And we also have towers to kind of shoot, because as mech, you know, it's always scary if Rax units kind of attack north and get into your main base. If we look across the map, we see Visixfan is going to be throwing down some more castles on either side, more barracks, so he can just continue to spend this money. He's got rid of his bank, mostly through throwing down all these barracks, and he'll be able to produce a ton of soldiers and units as soon as he wants. Definitely could probably be throwing down a couple more houses to get to that 150 max supply. Right now he's just kind of limited to that 120. So now that I've kind of secured this fourth, I'm trying to like take some position on the map. I'm trying to basically get control of this area right here, so that these castles, these 3 castles, will be under my control, basically. Meanwhile, we see that Visix is going to go for a bit of a counterattack with his main forces. I have some towers here, but what I really need is a catapult or 2 behind this line in order to truly stop this Rax force, because this Rax force could walk up and right-click on this tower and kill it in absolutely a couple seconds. And you can see that's going to happen in a second here. Now, this one catapult with a +2 attack does a lot of execution on these Rax units. And you can see as these Rax units go into the traps of the cattle traps, they're going to take a lot of damage from our catapults here. So pretty solid kind of defensive position. We just needed a couple more catapults in that area to really solidly defend. So you can see that as mech, we're really in trouble economically. Fourth base is barely mining. Third base, you know, just had to run away for a second. Lost towers down here, so that's going to be expensive to replace. We're just really struggling for cash flow at the moment. And bouncing between the third and main is really tough. So I'm going to leave 2 catapults here and start rebuilding these towers as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, Visixfan is going to start putting pressure more on our fourth base, as he has really just all the monies. He has all the castles that he really could need. So it's going to be tough to take back. One thing that is going for mech, again, is those upgrades are pretty decent. I mean, you're at +3 versus, actually +3 +1 versus +3. So being actually ahead in upgrades is pretty rare for mech. And that puts you in a really solid position. And we're also at a pretty healthy supply. We're at 125 of 140, which is pretty healthy for mech at this stage in the game. And when you have this high of a supply, you can actually take pretty solid fights, even against superior Rax counts for the enemy. So feel pretty good about the amount of units I have. Definitely a really solid economy, about 56 workers. So as soon as if I can secure this position, then we can take these upper castles, and we should be pretty happy. We can also pull workers to use in defense. Workers on auto repair are really good even in main fights. So you can kind of see, you're going to see this in a second, as I have a lot of these workers here just providing lots of repair for our Gatlings and stuff. I'm trying to posture here. I don't think I quite know about this base quite yet, or I'm just a little bit careful to posture too far forward because I don't want to get caught by this large force that we know is up here. So we're just going to kind of stay defensive, throw more cattle traps down in positions like this, and also get our watchtowers down. You can see me fanning out my gats to try to get a little bit of a fan of cattle trap position, because that's really going to be important when we take this engagement. You can see that Visix is going to try to go for a little bit of counterattack on the left side, but that's not going to be dealt with pretty easily. And now, notice how I'm trying to target the archers with my catapults. Catapults are really good against archers. So every time one of these stones actually hits an archer, it does tons of damage, almost kills. I think it's a 2-shot for a lot of these archers. So we did trade out a lot of catapults there, but we didn't we kill his entire army. So that was a pretty favorable trade for the mech. And now we're slowly getting to the place in the game where we want to be as mech, where we have pretty solid defensive position. We've got a decent amount of towers. Could definitely use more towers. The one thing that we're really weak against right now is drops. We have 2 towers in our main, but like a solid drop is still going to probably kill most of this. And we definitely need more towers at our 4th and 3rd base as well. Like a dropping in from the left side would be really deadly. Usually you want at least 2 towers here, just kind of try to shoot down those catapults if possible. Fortunately, our middle is pretty well defended because our rallies are here. So even though he's trying to go for these kind of strikes through the middle, we're able to deal with those. Now, we've kind of taken control of this top right, even though he's still mining here. So I need to send some units. You can see I'm doing that in a second to try to deal with that. And Visix is still at a really healthy economy. You can see he's going to start taking these bottom left bases. He's already got this middle left base. So already our Rax opponent still has a really solid economy, and he's starting to get drops out, which is really what's deadly as Rax in these situations. These bases are going to be secured, though. So as mech, kind of your win condition is getting these 3 gold mines on the right side of this map totally secure. If we can get that, we'll have as much gold as we need to just slowly grind the Rax player out of the game. Because our mech units are just going to trade superior to the Rax of Visixfan. As you're going to see kind of in these engagements, even though this is a really large army, catapults from all sides are really doing excellent execution. We have a couple towers. So even though we're going to lose a decent amount of forces here, we're still, you know, hitting a lot of units and doing a lot of damage. Remember, each of these catapults only costs 110 gold, which is, you know, only slightly more than 1 Rax unit. And each catapult, you know, almost every other time they shoot, they can be killing a mech unit. So, and they can be repaired. So really these mech units are just more cost efficient in general. As long as they're in decent position. You can see I'm trying to like reposition these catapults in such a ways as they're not like in the front lines. And I'm slowly bringing my cannons to the forefront. We're keeping up a really solid production. One mistake that you can see both of us making is, well, at least I'm making right now, is I'm not fully maxed out. I'm only at 140 of 150. But as it is, this is an engagement I'm pretty happy to take. I can trade out workers all day, so I'm keeping my workers in the front so that they repair, while I just kind of kite back with my catapults and my cannons. You can see I'm also going to bring more units from the left, and just slowly my cannons with their actually my +3/+2 armor, so I have really nice upgrades as well. So my cannons are going to slowly trade superior to all this, especially with the repair. You can see a lot of these archer shots are hitting units and getting repaired as they hit. So like this cannon, for example, is staying alive way longer than it should because of the mass repair from the workers. Good kind of micro from Visixfan here. He's picking off a lot of workers and units. We can see him at 61 workers, so I'm like really happy to trade these workers. These workers are almost made for combat, less than for actually mining at this point, because I don't have enough gold mines to really mine with them. So really these surplus workers I have are all about having them for combat. So you can see I'm even trading out a lot of these workers. So now we've actually secured a unit advantage. We have 118 to 107 supply. So something I missed as I was watching this is these catapults have actually done significant damage. We have 17 kills already on these katas, and they are going to start doing more in just a second if Visixfan doesn't pay attention. He does pull his workers just in time, otherwise all these workers would have died, but I'm also denying mine time. Fortunately, yeah, a bit of a miscontrol there. I actually lose that drop. And meanwhile, he tries to drop my main, but I do have 2 towers, so we are able to deal with that eventually. But I haven't secured a 6th base, so right now it's a really closely wound game. My opponent still has tons of mining, right? He lost this mineral line, but he still has this one. He still has this middle base, and he also mined a lot on my side of the map. So in gold, my opponent is going to have a lot more. So it's going to be up to us to secure these bases. We're finally getting a castle on the top right. Our 3rd is mined out. Really, our only mining base is this 4th one and this new 5th one that's coming up. But we're pretty low on gold in general. However, our opponent is not, you know, super rich himself because he's traded out a lot of units here. And even as he takes these engagements, I'm pretty comfortable to be, you know, trading in front of my towers. You know, I got cattle shops in position. It's really tough for him to push up into this position because, you know, catapults from the high ground into the cattle shops are going to be, you know, excellent for the mech player. So definitely what I need to be doing right now is getting drops out because he has a couple undefended bases. Because of the amount of action in this game, he hasn't really been able to set up a really solid tower defense. So usually in this position, you want 3 towers, one here, one somewhere in the middle, and then one out above here. and that makes it really hard for drops to get in because they'll just run into towers at every turn. He does have one archer, but the archer, as you can just see with that engagement, is a lot less efficient at stopping catapult drops. And now it's kind of up to Visixfan to make something happen in this game because I have the defensive position. So you can see he's already realized that, and he's going in with his main army. Fortunately, he jumps on top of a bunch of cannons, so this makes it really hard for me. I lost a giant amount of supply there, really for free. Should have been running those cannons away. I was trying to go for some cattle drops, but just wasn't paying attention. Probably controlling these drop ships. So now he basically gets a free base kill here. I'm going to have to pull back my units. That was like about 20 supply of cannons that just got totally wrecked in that fight. So now it's kind of scary because this is a really dangerous mech force. As long as I can defend this top left base, I'm good. But if he had gotten units up and killed this, that would be pretty much GG, game over. You can see I've got way too many workers on both these mines, so I need to be like leveraging this massive amount of workers that I have. However, I am able to put a lot of pressure on his bottom bases. He's not really mining from these, so he's really only mining from one base at the moment with a couple workers here and there. So that's something that I'm able to leverage for going forward. But again, this is really the key moment here because we need to stop this giant mech force from killing us. And that's going to be pretty tough to do. Again, a bit of a miscontrol here. Loses 2 catapults to worker pull. It's just a mistake here because I'm trying to control this main fight. And these archers are trying to get onto everything, but every time the catapults fire, they're doing a lot of damage. So these are actually relatively favorable trades for us. More cannons are going to roll in pretty soon. Having dropships in fights like these is really nice because it makes it tough for him to fully kill our units. And now I'm realizing that these fights are close, and I'm going to pull a lot of workers to repair. And you're going to see that the worker hugs of life are going to be really efficient to keep my units alive here. As we frantically try to keep this base up, because if Visixfan gets up to this base and kills us, that's going to be pretty much game over. If these Rax units can kill this base, then Rax is going to win. The win condition is going to be fulfilled. This drops it, gets slaughtered by the tower. Workers are going to be pulled to fight. We have about 5 cannons left and a catapult against this entire Rax force. You can see that the production is going to continue on. Visixfan has this huge army. If this army is rallied up here, maybe he can win the game. But unfortunately, they're just sitting there. They're not joining the fight. They need to be joining this fight. We're really low on units here. It's going to be pretty tough to pull this one out. We just don't have the income anymore. This mine is going to be almost mined out. We have 1 mine up here, and we're just not able to secure this middle center position. This middle center position is so key right now. Visixfan is going to start throwing some punches to the left side of the map. As we've kind of secured positions on the right, these archers are going to be finally hunted down. We're at 91 supply against 112 of the Rax player. And Visix has also been able to secure his mining really comfortably. And there's no more drops on the map. So all those workers are going to be keeping working really comfortably. It's going to be really challenging for us to deal efficiently with that. So I see that he's sending this giant force up to my main base, and I have to run my catapults and my cannons over there ASAP. I think I need to pick up 1 catapult, and I'm going to send it for a counterattack somewhere in this map. But now it's just a matter of trying to deal with these mech units. We are going to lose some production here. Again, really need some workers or something to defend here. Looks like we're going to have more units from Visixfan attacking my right flank, and I don't have anything to defend that right. So these units will eventually get cleaned up. This mech force should be able to kill this, especially with cattle shops in position and workers coming in. However, it's already going to be kind of a tough ask to deal with this right flank defense. Meanwhile, this singular catapult is going to be doing execution. We're already up to 11 kills. So sneaking in these catapults later in the game is so important. Basically erasing a single mineral line there. This army gets cleaned up, and now we have to frantically move to the right because Visixfan is going to be hitting us. He's got +4 Rax units, and it's going to be just a race against time, really, to try to get there in time to stop this army from totally killing us. We're frantically trying to spam out as many units as we can. Meanwhile, this drop is in position. Look at that catapult shot doing tons of damage. These catapults are at +3. They do a lot of execution against any target that they hit. So now you can see that he's finally got his towers in position, so it makes it a lot more difficult for this catapult to really do good execution. And really, right now, basically, I need catapults to really take this fight efficiently. This many cannons is pretty strong, as you can kind of see, especially with the hugs of life from our workers. But really, we need the catapults to execute the archers. The soldiers are gonna derp really easily. They're not gonna do much over here. But the catapults are what we need to kill these archers. So we're gonna finally trade out with this giant mech Rax force. And these Rax armies are not cheap for Visixfan. He can't really afford to keep replacing them, especially considering the fact that his gold mines are taking so much damage. This catapult has done 20 kills. 24 worker kills on a single catapult. This catapult has been worth its weight in gold, and that's why it's so important to try to sneak out these catapult drops. Even if you don't do any damage throughout the entire game, you have to keep the catapults coming, because they can win you games in the backfield. You can see I'm looking for damage from here, but he's actually mined out this entire base. And actually, unbelievably, through all this hardcore action, we've killed enough Rax units, we've traded efficiently enough, that we're actually way up in supply. And Visix just doesn't have the units to, he just doesn't have the economy right now to replace. He's only mining off of one base, and he doesn't have that much of an upgrade advantage. He only has +4 against +3, +2. So we've actually secured ourselves a really huge advantage just through defense. And now all the castles are coming in, so we have the gold just flowing in from multiple gold mines. Pretty soon we'll have a third gold mine here, and we're just gonna be able to keep mining now. We're actually lost a lot of workers. We're down to 27, but we only need about 30 to be fully saturated. We are just able to not get out. If we had just made that a little bit sooner, we would have gotten out. But in general, we have more drops on the map, so we should be able to push in for the victory at this point. This is really a good kind of lesson on how to play mech. Even though we were definitely pretty scrappy at times, I don't think our defense was really solid enough. If Visix had really hit us much harder, I think we probably would have gotten through. But once you get to this stage of the game where you're late game, your mech units are really strong, and you can take some excellent favorable trades against these large-sized Rax armies. So Visix is still at a pretty good supply count. He's secured basically the same amount of mining that we have, but if you look at the units lost, which, fair enough, is a little bit suspect because every time a cattle chop dies, it actually costs 85 gold. So we've actually lost a lot less than he has. And our total mine is about 6,000 below him, which is pretty standard for a mech versus Rax. Having about 6,000 less gold is pretty normal, actually, for this, even at this stage in the game. But remember, we're on 3 base, and we're mining more, because this base is close to mined out. It's only got 2,000. These bases are just kind of low, whereas you look at ours, well, at least these two fresh ones on the far right, we've got like about 9,000 gold left between those two. And again, our mech force is just so dedicated and so strong. Even though we're up against, oh my goodness, this huge Rax force. This Rax force is legitimately large. And this engagement is pretty good for him. He's going to be able to kind of get on top of a couple of units here. But we do have nice cattle chop usage here, so we can pull catapults back. And these archers kind of run into tower defense, and I can pull my units back north and just continue to use these cattle chop forests to snipe away at his main forces here. So yeah, even as he walks into this position now, our catapults can really just do excellent damage on these trapped archers that have just kind of run into the cattle chop traps and gotten totally wrecked. I do have like 5 more catapults coming, and he's down to a really small amount of archers at this point. The archers are just stacked on top of each other at the moment. Any catapult shots that fall into this area are just going to do so much damage. We sneak a drop in to hit this base, and we're going to kill so many workers. Excellent pullback from Visixfan, though. He doesn't take the full damage shot. But now it's just going to be tough for him to deal with this push that's coming at him. If we jump back to the units tab, you can see that we have a pretty solid economic and unit lead. He does pick up that drop, but he has to trade his castle for it. And I should have more drops inbound fairly soon. So right now I'm just trying to secure this position on the map, force him away from here, and from there I can kill this forge and start sniping away at this base. And really our supply is so much higher, so Visix needs to make some sort of really intense, win a really good fight right now. It's really his only way to pull this game back. He's going to try to go for the counterattack on my mining side of the map. I have some cattle chops and some catapults and stuff in position, so I can definitely delay his push here. But as you can see, he's going to hop on top of us and kill us. But at the same time, because of this, I know I can just start sending units back and kill all his mining. So basically, he can kill this base, and he can start killing these bases. But it's going to take him forever to actually get there, and I'm going to basically eliminate all his mining in a couple seconds. And I'm using this catapult just to harass him right now. And I'm going to try to throw up towers to stay alive as long as possible. He just doesn't really have the production right now to produce enough units here. And my catapult army is slowly walking all the way back here. And he doesn't have any mining. There's no more mining for the racks. And Mech still is mining off of several castles. He is going to get up there with some portion of his archer force, but this is kind of his last play, and there's so many catapults with such good upgrades. I have +4, +2. So right now I'm a legitimate 2 upgrades ahead of him right now. And all his mining is dead. Everything is literally dead. This is his last army, basically. He has to win with the units he has on the field, and he is already behind by a huge amount of supply. And these archers are just still getting wrecked. They can't even take out towers at this point. There's just too many catapults. He's going to kill this one base, but it doesn't matter. The writing is already on the wall. The mech has outlasted the Rax player. And that's what you got to do as mech. You got to just stay calm, stay cool, stay collected, and take the good game. As we were able to take out this really brutal, long, hard-fought mech versus Rax. I mean, it was just a back-and-forth slugfest, but in the end, we were barely able to edge out. And through some good catapult drops, we sustained an economic advantage, and then once we got that right side of the map, it was just too much to hold. Even as in the final score, you can see that the Rax player had more gold overall, and you can see that a lot of that gold we actually mined right at the end to even catch up. But it wasn't quite enough. We killed more units than we lost, and we were able to secure the victory. Yeah, so what a hard-fought, cool game. Good game to Visixfan. He was really close to winning that, but we were able to pull it out. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and we will catch you all later.